And I really like to remind people that the sales and the soulmate clients and the people who have entered my world to trust me to be their mentor, um, it has all been a byproduct of me continuing to live a really brave life and taking big risks.
I am so honored today because I have Tiffany back with us. Tiffany, you were here 2 years ago.
I don't know if I ever would have quit my job. And so that just, it spiraled into me going full all in on my coaching business. And then within 8 months, I had hit six figures. Within that first year, I was crossing over $200,000. And now I'm coming up on 2 years next month officially. And I'm about to cross over $500,000 in revenue. An academy launched, a podcast launched, and having worked with so many students in helping them build their dream coaching business, getting it started, creating an offer, and selling the fuck out of that offer.
And it is such an honor to have you back. So, first off, thank you for being back.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been so cool to know we had this conversation and what I was, and just kind of sharing an update of what I've created, what's changed, what's new. So, yeah, I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh, well, I'm so happy to have you back. And just to touch on what you've been up to the last 2 years, I know just kind of going back to when you were here, you had almost hit 2 months in your, or 2 years in your business. You were like a month away from hitting 2 years. You had hit almost $500,000 in your business, started a podcast, launched a academy. You've done so much. You've helped so many coaches build their businesses. But what has shifted for you in the last 2 years, if anything?
Oh my goodness. So much. I feel like so much, everything, all the things have shifted since then. So, yeah, if we spoke when I was about to hit 500K around like 2 years in business, now it has been a little over 4 years in business, and I've crossed over $1 million in sales. And that has been a really huge accomplishment for me. And yeah, it's been 4 years in business. I have just shifted so much. People will ask me like, "Oh, how did you create the $1 million in sales? And what was it that you did? Or what did what can you share about that?" Right. And I really like to remind people that the sales and the soulmate clients and the people who have entered my world to trust me to be their mentor, um, it has all been a byproduct of me continuing to live a really brave life and taking big risks and trusting myself and trusting the universe and surrendering, and doing this on a consistent basis. Like, it isn't enough in entrepreneurship to just do this one time or have like one really great month or even one really great year. It is the journey of continuing to do it over and over, even when life is lifing, even when it feels hard, even when it feels like people aren't, listening or wanting your offer. It's like, how do you create and source your own magic and your own magnetism in order to create what it is that you desire? So yeah, it's been 4 years now in business. I think around that time we spoke last, I was selling or starting to sell my signature program, my signature course, Business Activation Academy. And now I have just officially actually just had the last call this week. And we had the last call, and this was the last call for dissolving that course. It has created, I would say, around $400,000 of sales in my business. It's been around for 2 years now, or 3 years now. It has been such a beautiful journey. It's been such a beautiful experience. And I'm actually shifting into an all access pass. So instead of instead of just one course and one curriculum, now I have a year-long experience that people get to join into. And it gets to be all the courses that I am running in the future and all of my existing courses as well. So like all access path to my all my world of courses and programs, my entire vault and coaching with me. So that's where I'm at. And I'm also selling my higher ticket mastermind, which is my like inner circle mastermind for spirit led women leaders growing to multi six figures.
Oh, I love it. You've done a lot in the last like 4 years, but in particularly too. And I love that you're just open and really trusting the universe, trusting yourself, what you have to offer and what you can give to others based off of your own experience. But I love the transparency of just being able to dissolve something, but now it's something even bigger and greater and
Mm-hmm.
having more access to you, the courses more evergreen, and just all the things that you're delivering, and people can pick and choose what they need in that moment.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of the mastermind as well, because it's just being able to really up level on every aspect, the ones that are really
Yeah.
the spiritual aspect of it too,
Mm-hmm.
and just like continuing to grow from there. And I'm curious, what came to you when it was about creating this all access pass, having everything in one place, so it's not just one course, one program? What was that transition like for you coming up with it?
So I feel like for so long I have been trusted, and my one main offer, my one main way of working with me was through my signature course and program. And so over time, even though it felt very good, very juicy, very aligned when I created it, it started to feel a bit restricted, right? Because I wanted to expand and talk about all these different areas of life, right? Not just messaging and sales and some of the more kind of tactical strategies. And there are a lot of energetics looped into that course as well. But I found that, growing, helping my students grow a six figure, a multi six figure business, we have to have conversations, and not just conversations, but trainings and upping their skill sets and having community around and curriculum around not just messaging and sales, but growing as the whole human, right? So that means like the way that we view relationships and the way that we view our relationship to money, and having conversation about purpose and our relationship to our life purpose. What does that look like? What is that connection like? I wanted to talk about magnetism, sourcing your own energy, learning how to show up even when life is hard, right? And all of these different aspects of entrepreneurship, the energetics, growing a team, being a leader, messaging, that didn't all just fit within one course. I mean, I could have updated that course 100 times and it still wouldn't be able to reflect all of these different facets. And I wanted them to have their own kind of spotlight. So giving my students a all access pass would give them access to all my existing courses. So Business Activation Academy is actually included inside, and the all access pass is called the Coven, which I'm very excited about. And so inside the Coven, right now I'm prepping to launch the launching course. And this is a deep dive course all about launching, the ins and outs of launching phases, what to do at each step, launching on your stories, my exact sales and DM strategies during a launch, all those things. And that's coming in September. And then the one I'm planning after that is going to be on money, like wealth energetics, relationship to money. So now you can see like there are all of these different experiences that they get to have in its own seasons, essentially. And then everyone in the community gets to grow and expand and learn together.
Oh, I love this community. I got like chills when you're talking. I'm like, this is what's needed, because I feel like it's not just one entity or layer
Yeah.
in entrepreneurship. And you're right, you could have revamped the course multiple times, but instead now you have a greater
Mm-hmm.
impact, and also creating a community even bigger to be able to figure out what season they're in, what they need in that moment, because it's not just business tools, it's the relationships that we have, it's how we're showing up when it's hard. Because a lot of times we don't want to show up when it's hard, but we still do it because we have to, and we have bills to pay and life to go on, right? But I think that's so amazing
Yeah.
to create the Coven, to be able to really captivate what's necessary. I think like people are craving community even more now than ever, that human connection, even if
Yeah.
it's virtual, but just having that place you can go and not feel alone. And I love that you're creating this. This is so exciting. And then,
Yeah. Thank you.
of course, of course. And even with creating this like this whole entire space for people, it's like what it's not a community, but it's like bigger than a community. It's a whole universe basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
But what were some of the lessons you've learned in the last 2 years with everything that you've had go up and down, just the entrepreneurial world in general? Did you have any lessons that you've really attached onto of like, oh wow, that was a good one?
Yeah, I mean, I think every single day I'm a new person, right? Like, and those are the women that I attract into my, and you get this too, right? Like, into my community, it's like, oh, we're just a different person every single week. We're always dying and rebirthing. I am a five-time Scorpio. Scorpio rules death and rebirth and transformation. So I'm just constantly evolving. I'm like, okay, I've settled in. I'm like, okay, I feel like this is where I'm at. I'm like, nope, all right, we're changing. So it's like I'm always, always, always growing. I'm always evolving. I'm always shedding my skin. Like there's always so much. And so I mean, one of the things I've learned is just like I'm never at that point where I'm just fully like I'm there, right? And that's been a really exciting part of growing as an entrepreneur too, is like knowing that there is no that there's no end, right? Until literally we're dead, right? Like if we're alive, we're always expanding, we're always growing, we're always learning. Like that's just going to be a part of the work that we do. I think that that's such an important thing to remind myself. So I'm always applying myself and I'm always asking like why is this happening for me, right? There have been a lot of things I've learned. One of the big things I've learned around sales and launching, which is, some of what influenced my launching course and something that I'll cover inside the launching course is like this level of entitlement I feel like we can have when we've grown our business to a certain level or certain to a certain revenue, or if we've created events where like people will just kind of be there and sign up, and we've had a lot of success in our programs, which I have, right? But I remember having this launch where I literally felt like it was going to be a like one person was going to be there, and it was a group program, right? Or two people, when I was expecting like 10 people. And I remember evaluating and going, oh my goodness, I really just expected that this would sell just because I had sold it so many times before, and that we still have to show up and sell. We still have to bring our people in. Like, we don't have to go out of our way to convince anyone in sovereign selling, but we can, really like still be clear and explicit and magnetizing and set our intentions and do like you want to be able to look back on a launch or a sales period and be like, did I really go all out, right? Not in a way of over hustling myself, but in my power, in what felt intuitive to me. Did I really make the most of it? Like, this is our job, right? And this is why we're in business. Sales is the oxygen of our business. Without sales, right, our business isn't really a business, right? Like, we have to be showing up and selling and being that salesperson consistently, even if you've created success, even if, right, all these reasons. So there's just a lot that I've learned around launching, around selling, around just kind of like expectation, right? And really learning to like double down on my mindset, especially as I am continuing to scale my business. Something else I've learned is around lesson of sustainability. So when I started my business, I would say like the first couple of years, right, particularly like the second year and, a little bit last year as well, like I had these really like high big cash months, where like I would just try this, I would try that, I would experiment, I would play, right? At a certain point I had room for like 13 one-on-one clients, right? And as I've scaled, not only have my prices gone up, I have become much more exclusive and clear about who I want to enter my spaces, right? So at one-on-ones, right, it is a $25,000 investment, right? It wasn't like the $1,000 investment that it used to be, or the 3,000 investment that it used to be. I've actually like my product suite has shifted, so it used to be mainly one-on-ones, and now it is very minimal one-on-ones and focusing on my bigger group programs. So filling up the Coven, filling up Magic Mind with really intentional, soul aligned people. And that's been really important to me because now it isn't just clients I work with one on one, it's a community that we're cultivating together. And so being intentional about who I let into these spaces to really keep the energetic integrity of the community, because they're all connecting with one another. They're all meeting up and flying out to spend time with each other. They're jumping on peer coaching calls to support one another. They're collaborating and they're like testing each other's products, right? Like this is a true community that I've created. So now my focus has shifted into like being a leader, growing my team, right? Like now my team is growing, my group programs are growing, and also my revenue has shifted in the way where I would have these like big cash months and experiment here and play there and just launch this and launch that. And now I've been a lot more focused on these are the programs I want to sell. I don't want to do a lot of one-on-one work, right? Unless it feels super, super aligned. And here's the programs that I want to sell. And so my revenue, instead of like really high month and then just kind of lower and then high, it's been a really beautiful, sustainable monthly recurring revenue that has actually been really beautiful for my nervous system, knowing that even if I don't launch, if I don't sell anything a month, I know that I have payment plans coming in. But of course, it does feel good to continue to sell, continue to launch my main programs, and also, you know, get creative like with fun events and things that kind of lead into my bigger programs and my product suite as it's evolved.
I love the evolution of what you have learned. And I think sustainability is so important for a business and the growth and wanting to scale. But you're absolutely right. It's like your nervous system. Some months are great, some are not. We call it the solar coaster because we're in solar. So it's always up and down. But
Yes.
I think the fact that you were really clear on it in the beginning, you got to play, you got to see what worked and didn't work. And I think that's a beautiful thing and so important in the beginning of entrepreneurship to really see what works because not everything's going to stick. But after you were able to really see, okay, this is the clientele I want to work with. These are the people that I want to magnetize and attract into my community. And also creating that sacred space of, okay, I vetted these people. I know they're going to be great in the community and continue to feed off of each other in a beautiful way of being able to fly out there, try each other's product, coach each other, and just continue to expand. And you're leading from the front
Yeah.
example. And I think that's so important in business and just understanding all the ins and outs. But the sustainability piece is it's how you're around for a long time. That's the goal. That's everybody's goal. Well, not
Yeah.
everybody, but a lot of people's goal. You
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Hmm.
I love it. Those are great lessons. And just with everything that you have learned, everything that you're creating, the comment, the mindset aspect as well, the mastermind, what are your future aspirations and goals if you were to look maybe a few years down the line?
Yeah. Something else I want to share too around like a big lesson has been, you know, I feel like so much of society wants us to water down, be boxed in, be this version of ourselves that we're not, right? And just try to fit in with either the status quo or fit in with like that community, that group. And I just find that there's been so much beauty, there's been so much expansion in everything I'm doing, coming home to myself, coming home to my truest self, like who I am at my core. And that kind of leads me into you know, yeah, the answer of like where I want to go is I'm not a huge planner. I'm not someone that likes to plan out years in advance. I love surrendering to the universe, right? Because even if I do have a plan, I can 100% just be completely swept up with what the universe desires for me or something that intuitively hits, right? So I'm a generator. I'm here to kind of respond to the energies in the world around me. And I'm here to continue dying and rebirthing and being transformed. So yeah, I all I can say is I know that I'll still be trusting and surrendering and coming home to myself in the next several years. And depending on where how I feel and what opportunities I do attract. I mean, I would love to continue expanding my movement, right? I really see my business as beyond just business and offers um, online, but a movement, right? That is energetic, that like takes place within, there's like, it's like beyond the time space continuum. And so this movement, and recently I had a brand name drop in. So it's no longer going to be Tiffany Cheung. It's no longer going to be like Tiffany Cheung LLC. So I'm going to have my own brand. I'm going to know like that brand is going to be a representative of, the work that I've created and the art that I've created over the years. And as I continue to grow, so I'm excited to see how that comes through. That's going to be like rebranded in the podcast, also my Instagram. I have like my logos getting done. So that's exciting. I'm going to reveal that in a little bit. And yeah, I'm excited to expand platforms and be able to speak on more stages and be able to hold more things in person. That's something that's been on my heart for a while. I just had a in-person event for Magic Mind, my mastermind, and everyone was saying like it completely exceeded their expectations. They're just like on a high. They're just so excited. They're so grateful, which made me so happy because I love being able to deliver in person as well and feel people's energies in person. So yeah, maybe that's something that I do here in the Bay Area in California, but maybe also in different spaces as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
I love it. And I feel like it's just so true and authentic to who you are as a person because you have transformed so much. You are so vulnerable in all your posts and everything that you put out there. It's true to who you are. And I think it just helps other people have that permission to be themselves and you attract that into your community, into your spaces. And it's so funny because I'm definitely a planner. That's probably why I asked this question. But it's just so amazing that you're able to kind of take that and look at it of just being open to receiving as well and going with what feels intuitively right because I feel like it has to be a mix. You can plan everything out, but then it completely shifts like how you get there, the goals towards that. And I think that's a beautiful thing, just not holding on so tight to things and just allowing it to release and be ready to receive, but also doing the work on a day-to-day basis. But it can always transform. We can always pivot. We can always just lean in to whatever we do want. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And I feel like you just embody just being able to let go and be truly who you are. So I appreciate that. I know everyone else listening does as well. But I've been so enjoying this conversation, Tiffany. Where can people find you and find your services and the Coven and Magic Mind?
Yay. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So I hang out the most on Instagram. It's tiffanycheung.co. Cheung is spelled CHEUNG.co. So that's pretty much like I'm constantly on stories. I'm constantly posting to my feed. I'm constantly sharing updates there. So that's a really great way to plug in. And then for anyone that just wants a taste of a lot of what I shared today, like mindset, my lessons, all that transformation, my podcast is a really great way to plug in and also hear from different guests and things as well. So my podcast is the Social Reset Podcast, even though the name is going to switch in a little bit, but I'm sure it'll go up before then. So the Social Reset Podcast, it's on Spotify, Apple, and yeah, and the Coven and Magic Mind are also linked in my bio on Instagram as well as the show notes on the podcast. So if you're listening to this, if you feel drawn to just taking this conversation deeper and having conversation about either possibly working together or just deeper connecting, just send me a DM. I love responding to my DMs and connecting with everybody.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Tiffany. I appreciate you coming back on. I love what you're up to, and I can't wait to see the movement that you are creating expand outside of the Bay Area and all over the world in person, I mean, because you're already doing that online. But thank you again for coming on. And make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What was the biggest takeaway from Tiffany today? I'm sure she would love to see that comment, and we'll see you on the next episode.